Hey guys, this is Mara with my. Let me start that over. This is Mara at the Reading Hedgehog with my April reading wrap up. And you guys probably noticed in my last video that my hair is significantly lighter. I got highlights. I'm still getting used to it. I've never gone this blonde before, but it's really cool. I love it. Anyway, on to the books. In total, I read 10 books this month. Technically I will have read more because I'm filming this early so I can get it up in time before I go to Nashville. But essentially I've read 10. We'll call that good. That's a good count for a month. I got a lot of reading done. I'm very proud of myself. So let's just jump. I can't talk. Let's just jump straight into this. The first book I finished and read in April was Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. The third book in the Throne of Glass trilogy. I wish. The third book in the Throne of Glass series. I gave this 3 out of 5 strawberries. So this picks up pretty much where the second one left off. Selena Sardothian is off in a country whose name I can't remember. Supposedly on an assassination mission, but she's got her own plans on trying to get the Fae to help her with stuff. And meanwhile, Dorian's dealing with stuff, and Chaol's dealing with stuff, and lots of stuff is going on. I can't really tell you too much because it would be giving away a ton of spoilers for the second book, and I really don't want to do that to you guys. But essentially, my faith in the series paid off. As if you guys have been following me at all about this series, you know that with the first book I didn't like it. I liked the world building, but I was so pissed at the main character and the love triangle that it wasn't enough, and I just hated everything in that book. Rereading it a second time through, I did like it a bit more. The second book, still hated Selena and started hating Chaol, liking Dorian. But there were some really good moments. The world building was amazing, and I have faith that the series could still potentially become really good. I liked the collection of short stories, The Assassin's Blade. I really liked that. And then reading this, I loved pretty much everything except Selena. I still really don't like Selena. I still find her very annoying, and I understand where she's coming from because she is a very broken person. She has had a lot of bad stuff happen to her, and it would be very hard to stay sane considering all the stuff that's happened to her. But her giving up, while it's understandable, I mean, how much can a person take before they just totally break? Her giving up, it comes across as pathetic. And she just feels whiny and annoying, and I just didn't like her at all. When she gets over herself, essentially, and I won't tell you whether or not that lasts, because actually I don't know, but the times that she gets over herself and she just does what needs to be done, I do really like her, and the way this ended gives me hope that maybe I will be able to start liking her, or at least understand her as the series progresses. So there's still hope for her as a character. I love everyone else, more or less. Chaol is not bad in this because since he and Selena are never together in this one, he's pretty cool. So there's no annoying romance. Dorian's pretty cool. The villains are really good. There's a ton of world building in this, even more so than usual. And the world building to me is the strongest part in this series, so I really enjoyed that. The one character that we followed, you follow lots of different perspectives in this, and one of them we follow is Maven, and she is a Iron Teeth witch. She was cool. I really liked following her. She is cold and hard and everything, but I really liked her, and I loved those probably were some of my favorite parts was reading about the Iron Teeth witches. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 strawberries. I liked it, and I'm glad that my faith in the series is not proving to be wrong. And I really look forward to seeing what's going to happen next, because the way this ended, there's going to be some serious stuff that happens in the next one. And I can't wait. I'm excited. After that, I read Anti-Goddess by Kendari Blake, the first book in the Goddess War trilogy. I gave it 3 out of 5 strawberries. Now, this is not a mythology retelling, but it follows Greek mythology. It takes place in the 21st century. Our protagonist is Athena and Hermes. Um, and they're trying to find out why the gods are dying. The gods are all dying in these weird, bizarre, unique ways. Like Athena's dying by being choked to death by owl feathers. Hermes is dying of wasting disease and stuff. No one knows why, and Athena's trying to figure out why. And the answer may lay with a girl named Cassandra, who is the Cassandra of Troy reincarnate. But Cassandra doesn't know that she is the Cassandra reincarnated. I was very excited to read this because this was actually the pick for my book club, and several of the members hated it with a passion, and that got me really curious to see how I was going to react to it. No surprise, I didn't hate it. This could have been a lot more. It could have been so much more. I will not disagree with that. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I loved the fact that the author explored the idea of the gods being weak, because most stories that deal with the Greek gods, the gods are still in their full glory. They're still powerful and stuff. They're not powerful anymore. They're forgotten by society. They're no longer needed, and now they're dying, and so they're less than they ever were. And it's very interesting to see them be just essentially completely powerless and dying and wasting away. And so the way a lot of the gods acted, I could accept that, because we're not seeing them the way they are in the myths. We're seeing them being destroyed, essentially. My biggest complaint with this, the one thing I did not like about this, was Odysseus. He is a hormonal, smartass teen that is ladies' man and all that, and that is not how I ever imagined Odysseus. Odysseus has always been my favorite hero because he was so faithful to Penelope. His time with Circe and Calypso, he was literally bewitched. He never would have been willingly faithless to Penelope, and that imagery is just totally destroyed in this, and I did not like that. Sorry. But in general, this was fun. It was slow in some parts, a lot of parts actually. There's other things that were never really explored all that much. There's a lot of questions, but I mean, obviously this is the first book in a trilogy, so I don't expect all the questions to be answered. So, I mean, it could have been a lot more than was, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So 3 out of 5 strawberries. After that, I read The Only Thing to Fear by Caroline Tung Richmond. This got 5 out of 5 strawberries. And this explores the what if the Nazis had won World War II, and it takes place 80 years after the Nazis have won World War II in America. And it follows this girl who essentially is trying to avoid complete and absolute notice by the Nazi officials, because she has a special power that only genetically engineered Nazi soldiers are supposed to have. And of course, if she was found out, she'd either be executed, sent to a labor camp, or experimented on by scientists. And then she gets hooked up with some rebels. They're trying to restore the world to what it was before Nazis took over. It was really, really good. What I loved about this was it was very obvious the author had done her research, and so she minus the genetically engineered soldiers, she presented a very plausible look at what the future might have been like if the Nazis had won, and it was very scary, and she was not afraid to show how horrible and brutal they would have been. So this was the most realistic dystopian I've ever read. She shows people being executed and people being tortured and all this stuff without it being gruesome. I mean, it's dark and scary and disturbing, but it's not gruesome, it's not overly graphic. But she shows it, and it makes it much more realistic. This is a standalone novel, by the way. It ends where there could be a sequel, but totally does not need one. And I really liked it. It was good. Yeah, so 5 out of 5 strawberries. After that, I read Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. I gave this 5 out of 5 strawberries too. So this follows the other girl from Kansas, Amy Gum. She's living in a trailer park in Kansas and then gets swept away by a tornado to the land of Oz, but Oz is not the way it used to be at all. Now it's being ruled over by the tyrant Dorothy, who came back to Oz and enslaved everyone and turned it into this really creepy dystopian type world. And now it's up to Amy to break Dorothy's power and restore Oz to what it used to be. This book, I loved it so much. I hated Oz when I read it. I read all the original stories, I think, about 2 years ago in a year. You wouldn't think that would be a hard thing to do. I mean, they're not long books. But by the time you hit the 5th or 6th book, I think it was the 8th, Rinkatinka Oz, that finally I had my breaking point. I had to take several months off before I continued. I developed this hatred for Oz so much, and I feel so bad for Baum having to write all those stories. I mean, he was essentially forced to write them because that's what his fans wanted, and whenever he tried to stop writing them, I mean, he made no money. But anyway, I hate Oz with a passion. To read a book where you essentially go to this Tim Burton-esque, dark, twisted, disturbing, creepy version of Oz, it was wonderful. It spoke to a part of me. And it was so obvious that the author had grown up reading the stories. She pulls so much from the original stories, and it's actually really cool because a lot of things she pulls and it twists. The elements are actually in the original stories, and if you look at those elements, you're like, yeah, I can actually see how that would have happened. But it was great. The characters were really good, and the twists she gave were really good. And messed up. I mean, this book's messed up. It's very messed up, but it's really awesome. And Dorothy is one of my absolute favorite villainesses. I mean, she is bonkers, crazy, insane. And every time I thought she could not get any more insane, she would go and do something that I was just like, wow. I could not believe she could get that much more disturbing. But I loved this book. That's all I can really say about it. It was great. It was disturbing and creepy and messed up. So messed up. But in such a cool way, and I love it. I can't thank Danielle Page enough for writing this book. I needed this book in my life. So good. After that, I read Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh. I gave this is the first book in, I think it's just the Snow Like Ashes trilogy. I gave this 3 out of 5 strawberries. This is epic fantasy. And it takes place in a world where there are 8 kingdoms. There's 4 rhythm kingdoms, and there's 4 season kingdoms. And each season kingdom, of course, they have a certain season all year round. The 4 rhythm kingdoms, they have all their seasons regularly. Spring has taken over the winter kingdom, and there were only 8 survivors from the, essentially, massacre and enslavement in the entire country. And now they're trying to regain their kingdom by reclaiming their magic. And this follows a girl, Mira, who wants to do all she can for her kingdom, but the general kind of isn't letting her. Until she finds a way where she can. I liked it. Mira, I had very mixed feelings about. For some reason, I felt like I shouldn't like her. Her attitude, there was something about her attitude that kind of bugged me, but I didn't dislike her. I warmed up to her as the story went on. There is a love triangle in it, but it was a shockingly short-lived love triangle. The only thing I actually didn't like about it was when the 2 boys started fighting over Mira, and I was just like, come on, boys, you're being stupid. But apart from that, it was a very short-lived love triangle. I saw the twist coming a mile away. It's very obvious. It's been done a million times, but it still worked. It's not a bad twist. It still worked. The world building was good, but I have a lot of questions about it still, like, why are the Rhythm Kingdoms called the Rhythm Kingdoms, and why do they experience all 4 seasons and not just one? And I still have some world building questions that I'm sure will be explored more with the other books. Um, so yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. So 3 out of 5 strawberries. After that, I picked up The Cemetery Boys by Heather Brewer, and I gave this 4 out of 5 strawberries. I can't tell you too much about this book, other than it's like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. I went into this knowing absolutely nothing about it because I just bought it for the event, and the author told me, she's like, read this when you have time to read the entire thing because you will not be able to put it down. She was very right. I'm glad I set aside an entire afternoon to read it because I could not put it down. It's weird as all heck, and the ending was brilliant and wonderful and frustrates the hell out of me. This is a book that I didn't really care for any of the characters, but you don't have to. It's not about the characters. It's totally plot driven, and it's just weird. And it's very Alfred Hitchcock, and I really liked it. It was great. It bugs me so much, but it's one of those books that's why you love it. You love it so much because it bugs you. So 4 out of 5 strawberries. It was great. I'm sorry I'm not giving you a synopsis. I just can't. After that, I finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, the 4th book in the Harry Potter series. Not going to bother sum it up because I'm sure you all know what it's about, or at least essentially what it's about. I say I gave it 3 out of 5. I gave it 3 out of 5. I liked it. It's very enjoyable. I'm enjoying Harry Potter a lot. It's a lot of fun. Very, very sad that I saw the movies first because everything in this, of course, was ruined. I mean, I knew all the big twists and stuff, so that was sad. But I still really enjoyed it. Voldemort, he doesn't impress me as a villain. His monologue at the end of this was so sad. I had violin music playing in my head when I was reading it, and I kind of wanted to give an ice cream cone afterwards. And just he's not threatening. His legacy is threatening because over half of the stuff that happened, like all the people getting killed and stuff when he was in power, was caused by his followers, and his followers are kind of creepy because they're very zealous in what they do and stuff. But Voldemort himself is not scary. I'm not impressed with him at all. But it's still a very fun series. I'm enjoying it a lot. So 3 out of 5 strawberries for the 4th one. After that,